So every time that I wanted to make a change for myself, every time that I wanted to grind, lock in, and change my current situation, become successful, and achieve my goals, I was always held back by my bad habits, by the fact that my sleep schedule was fucked, that my diet was affecting my brain, and that I couldn't think properly. And when I wanted to sit down and study and do the work, my brain would just wander and I would scroll, procrastinate my work, and say that I would do something and then I just wouldn't do it instead of sitting and working for 1 hour as I said that I would. I work for 5 minutes, and then I grab my phone, I start scrolling, replying to messages, then I go back to work, and I just repeat this cycle over and over, and then nothing gets done at the end of the day. And so I looked at this situation and I thought, you know what? I should probably do a dopamine detox. And I saw online this idea of detoxing and resetting your brain. That way you can finally become able to do the work, enjoy doing the work, and and then once you do that dopamine detox, everything would be so easy. You'd be able to be consistent in your work, in the gym, and every aspect in your life. And so I was like, fuck it, dopamine detox sounds amazing. And so on the 10th of September, I started. I wanted to start posting content, and I heard about this idea of dopamine detox, and I was like, all right, why not combine both? And so I started posting daily daily reels on my Instagram for 2 weeks straight about dopamine detox, and it was kind of a challenge that I set for myself. And so I posted every single day for 2 weeks, and on those 2 weeks I was pretty consistent, pretty locked in. My sleep was good. I was not eating bullshit. I was eating clean, and I was kind of productive, at least more than before when I was just constantly doing bullshit every single day. I was productive. So those were a very productive 2 weeks, 14 days. And the problem is, unfortunately, that as soon as those 14 days ended, I slowly reverted back into my doing bad habits and my old self who would just do nothing. So during those 14 days, I was productive. I was locked in, dopamine detox, and I really felt the effects, and it was very good for me. But the thing is, after those 14 days passed, it was nothing. Because now I didn't have this challenge, this dopamine detox in my mind, I was just like, okay, well, I allowed myself to revert. I allowed myself to scroll during the dopamine detox. I would tell myself, no scrolling, no junk food, no nothing. But when I didn't have a dopamine detox to ground me, I allowed myself to scroll. I allowed myself to eat the junk food and to do all the bad habits, and then I slowly reverted back into my old self. And for the past month or so, I haven't been that productive, and I haven't been that locked in. And so this is, I'm sorry, let me look at my notes right there. Um, yeah, so I realized that dopamine detox is a bit of a scam, because people convince you that once you do this 14-day detox, you're instantly going to be able to become this massively disciplined guy, and you're going to be able to do anything that you set your mind to. But think about it for a second. Would you tell someone who wants to lose weight that in only 14 days of going to the gym and locking in on his diet, he's going to instantly become shredded? No, it doesn't work like that. If you only allow yourself to stay disciplined or dopamine detox for 14 days, and then you go back to doing the habits that you were doing before, and you start living the life of of the goblin that you were before doing this dopamine detox, well, then you haven't done anything. You haven't changed. You just simply were motivated by this idea of doing a dopamine detox. And then once it went by, you just reverted back to who you were before. And so that's exactly the problem with it. That's what I've experienced. And so I thought about it and I was like, okay, so I did the dopamine detox. During that dopamine detox, everything was good. But as soon as I stopped, I didn't have this dopamine detox to ground me anymore. So I started scrolling more and doing bad habits more and more. And so I was like, so the dopamine detox doesn't work. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, for sure it's not going to work because of what I've just said. So instead, what I found to be the better way, and I think that you're probably going to agree with this, is you need to make a lifelong decision. And before you think that it sounds too extreme, take it, for example, the gym. You're probably very comfortable with the idea. Hold on, let me see that. Okay, my camera is actually recording. Because last time I recorded this and my my phone storage was full, so I just spoke for like 15 minutes just to no one. And so now I have to do a second take, so I want to make sure that it's actually recording. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, gym. Yeah, so for the gym, you probably have this idea that you're going to go to the gym for the rest of your life. You probably already enjoy going to the gym, and so you have no problem with the idea of you going to the gym for the rest of your life. You're probably going to have some days, maybe you get injured and you stop, or you fall in a rut and you stop going, get depressed, whatever it is, right? But you know that for the rest of your life, you're going to be consistent in the gym. You're going to end up going. Even if you stop, you're going to end up going anyway. Same thing with your work. You probably know that you're going to have some kind of work that you do in the future. If you become a business owner, you may only work, if you're successful, only 2, 3, 4 hours a day, whatever, but you're still going to have some work to do every single day for the rest of your life. So there's no such thing as just doing something for 14 days and then stopping. And then if you stop, then you stop becoming the guy who deserves to have the benefits associated with stopping the bad habits. And so if you want to stop being a fucking goblin and actually be a normal, healthy fucking human being, you need to stop doing the bad habits for life. You need to make this decision right now. Pause the video and tell yourself, I'm never going to watch porn again. I'm never going to scroll again. I'm never going to eat so much junk food that my belly fucking hurts and that I can't even sleep because I ate too much. You need to tell yourself that right now you're going to be the type of guy who's locked in on himself. And it's not extreme, because when was the last time that you busted a nut and you were hit with this post-nut clarity? You had literally nut all over you and you felt good about yourself. You were proud of yourself. I think, yes, man, I enjoyed that, man. That was such a good session, such a good edging session. When was the last time that happened? It probably never happened. You don't even get pleasure from those activities. And so if it turns into pain and resentment for yourself, then it's probably not good for you. And that's the thing. Those things are not even fun. They're not even fun. And sorry, let me look at my notes real quick. So yeah, they're not even fun and they have no benefits towards your life. And so I'm trying to think of an analogy here because I didn't think of it. But would you study for something, waste your time studying for something that's not going to be in the exam? No. Well, then why do you waste your time on things that don't add anything to your life? It's the same kind of thing. And I know what you may be thinking. Yeah, but it's fine to have 1 hour, 2 hours of watching Netflix or eating a bit of junk food here and there. And to be honest, I've had the same questions. I've wondered the same thing myself. And I thought about this for a while actually. I sat on this for a couple of days. And I thought to myself, should you have balance in your life? At the point where we're at right now, we're trying to become successful. We're trying to quit our bad habits. We're trying to become a new we're trying to change identity, become someone who's successful in everything. Should we have balance in our life? Should we do everything in moderation? Play a bit of video games here and there? And I thought about this, and in my opinion, in my opinion, no, we shouldn't. We shouldn't because, for my case, and I'm guessing if you're similar to me, it's probably the case for you, I'm weak. I'm weak. And as soon as I allow bad habits, as soon as I allow them to creep up in my life, as soon as I allow myself to scroll 30 minutes when working, as soon as I allow myself to eat a bit of junk food and cheat on my diet and stop working out, my life goes downhill. And the bad habits start taking more and more control over my life until all the progress I've made is just gone, and I just forget about locking in, and I just go back to being a level 0 human being. And so, does the bad habits really add to your life? They probably don't. And the thing is, I found that when I'm in this period of being locked in and not doing any bad habits, I actually feel way happier and I have way more energy and my mood is better. So I'm going to give you an example that I've noticed. I'm going to give you an example of something I've clearly noticed the past couple of days. It's related to my sleep. So for the longest time, I would always be the kind of guy who would use his phone 1 to 2 hours to 3 hours to 4 hours. Obviously, watching anime, Netflix, scrolling, and I would tell myself, yeah, only 1 hour before bed, but it will always end up being more because I can't control myself. I couldn't control myself, so I would have this unwind routine of me being on my phone, and I would tell myself that, oh yeah, it's fine, you worked so hard during the day, you should be allowed to be on your phone for a couple of hours before bed, you deserve it, you worked hard, it's okay. But when I started taking my sleep more seriously and I cut out phone screens before bed, I started reading, I started doing a very disciplined night routine, I actually found that during the day I was happier, had more energy, my mood was better, I was less of an asshole with the people around me, I was more social, I was more productive, and my baseline was just better. So it was my baseline happiness was better, kind of like dopamine detox. It's great for resetting your baseline, but you need to keep it there. And so I thought to myself, now it's been a couple of days since I've been really locked in on my sleep schedule, and I don't even feel the pull towards doing the bad habit anymore. And so I think that the problem is we think that we can't live without a bit of social media, a bit of watching Netflix, anime or something. But the thing is, when you start doing them, when you start doing the good thing, the good habit, and you quit the bad habits for long enough, you actually find out that, oh shit, the bad habits were not even that fun to begin with, because you're at a higher level of baseline happiness, and you just find joy in taking care of yourself, being happy and being present and talking to people. And I think that if we allow ourselves to be in moderation and everything in moderation, we haven't experienced that other side of when we're just free from the bad habits. And so we think that we need them in our life, and we start to do everything in moderation, but then we can't control ourselves and they just take control over us, and that's not what we want, and it leads to the snowball effect of just falling back into a rut. And so I think that if we can discipline ourselves, because I'm in this journey just as you are, we're in this together. So if we can discipline ourselves to quit everything and resist the urge to not fall back into them, I've already started seeing this a bit. Eventually, we're going to find out that the bad habits were not even fun to begin with, and we are better off not doing them and focusing on the things that actually bring us real dopamine. But there is sometimes that you really want to have a pizza. You really want to enjoy a nice movie, and the urge is really strong. And what do you do then? Should you indulge in it? What should you do? And honestly, I'm not sure I have the answer to that question, because first of all, let me give you an analogy, right? So imagine a rocket, and it's about to launch into space. When it launches, in order to break through the atmosphere and go and free itself of the Earth's gravity, it needs a tremendous amount of energy. Like, you can hear, if you ever hear a rocket taking off, it's loud, there's fire, it's hot, there's smoke everywhere, there's a whole big ass engine motor trying to fuel it to take off and everything. It's a very hard things to do. And so it's the same thing with your life. Right now you're a bit of a subhuman. And if you want to take off and become this new successful disciplined version, the friction is going to be huge friction. And so I think that you need every single advantage you can get. Every single advantage you can get. And so I think that the best thing to do is to not allow yourself zero tolerance to the things that hold you back and that don't add to your success. Because shit, it's already hard enough to become successful. It's already hard enough. We don't need bad habits. We don't need fucking junk food and to destroy our mental. We need our sleep. We need our energy. We need all of those things to become successful. And so I think that the things that hold us back and that just don't add to that success should be cut out immediately. Now, should you indulge time to time with friends? If you go on I don't know, you go on a nice date and you eat a pizza slice, is that going to kill you? No, I think that's okay if you're doing it in a social event or something. And let's be honest, if you do it in a social event, it can kind of be okay, because there are other people and you're not doing it by yourself, so you're less likely to fall back into the goblin you are when you're alone and you just eat and you can't control yourself. When you're with other people, it's easier. But I believe that it's kind of hard for me to answer this question, but I think that you are going to fall back. And you are going to have times where you crack and you indulge in bullshit food, and times where you just catch yourself scrolling for 30 minutes. It's going to happen regardless of if you make the decision to quit for life or if you don't make the decision. It's going to happen regardless, because these addictions are just so strong and accessible. And so I think that it's better for you to make the decision to quit, and then when you catch yourself scrolling, which will probably happen, stop them immediately, because as I've said, they don't add to your life. And so I think that, as I've said, the habits eventually you eventually realize that the habits are not even fun. And so I think that it comes down to, it may seem arrogant, but how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to be successful? How fast do you want to get there? If you want to do everything in moderation and, take stops along the way and regress your progress and everything, then go do it in moderation. Be a bitch. Be weak. Because I promise you, you probably don't have the mental fortitude to only scroll for 30 minutes per day. Bam. If you do and I'm wrong, fine, go do it in moderation. But for me, I found out that every single time that I allow moderation in my life gets fucked and it just goes downhill. And so I think that the extreme mindset is the path for me. And if you're similar to me, it's the path for you as well. And so I believe that dopamine detox is bullshit, and you need to make a lifelong decision and stick with it. Stick with them for the rest of your life. And I was going to leave you on one last point, is as I've said, dopamine detox, it's good. It's only good if you make the intention to set it, to follow it for the rest of your life. And just as you would tell a beginner in the gym to, just as if a beginner in the gym would come to you and say, I only want to work for 14 days and then stop, you'd laugh at him and tell him he's a piece of shit and he's an idiot and he's a retard and a complete idiot. You would be the same kind of retard if you think that doing a 14-day dopamine detox challenge is going to change your life. And by the way, if you want to see those reels I made about dopamine detox, I know I talked about them at the beginning of the video. You can go and have a look at my IG. It's going to be right there somewhere, and you can go have a look. Maybe show some love, or hate me in the comments, whatever. And so yeah, that was it. If you've enjoyed this video, subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.